Hey guys, welcome back to Father and Son Investing. We're going to talk about Matterport again today. They had their quarterly results, came out on the 3rd. We'll talk about what was in that. And then second video of the day, I had somebody asking me some questions about Matterport's warrants and when would those be released and how that might affect things. So the first video, we'll talk about their quarterly results. Second video, the warrants. Let's get to it. All right, Matterport had some good news and some bad news. Let's talk about the good news first. Good news, total subscribers increased 116% to 439,000 from 1 year ago. Now, before you get too excited about that, let's just delve into what composes those 439,000 subscribers. So this is a nice graph that breaks down the subscribers. So 439,000, that again was 116% growth. Of that 439,000, only 54,000 of those are paid subscribers. However, that is still an increase of 14,000 subscribers year over year on the paid category. All right, what's the other good news in here? Subscription revenue up 36% to a new record, and total revenue up to $27.7 million, and that is a 10% growth year over year. Let's just take a quick peek at their financial statement here. So again, total revenue up just a little bit, gross profit not really changed that much. We get down here to the margins. Really, we'll see that the thing that made them decrease their margin from 60% to 55% is the product. Why was that? Well, they talked about that in the conference call, and essentially they were having a hard time getting product out to people. Not that people didn't want to buy it. In fact, they sold out of all of the cameras that they had. What they couldn't get were the parts to be able to make all those cameras that people wanted. Now, unfortunately, last year, they were in the positive, well into the positive, and this year their operating income was a loss. Why is that? Well, they had significant increased expense. We'll look at total operating expenses. A lot of that was research and development, as well as selling, general, and administrative. Now, they did mention, though, in the conference call that increased SG&A was an expected or planned for event. Now, let's just take a quick look at their balance sheet. They have a ton of cash on hand. Of course, a whole bunch of that came from that merger with Gores Holding. They did manage to decrease their liabilities significantly year over year. One last highlight to talk about from their financial results is the 57% subscription as a percent of total revenue, 57%. So that's nice. They're getting out of that one-time user type fee and getting into an annual subscription model. The margins on that subscription model are fantastic, 77%. And they are accelerating that subscription mix. We see calendar year 2020, 52%, and they're looking to get that up to 86% by calendar year 2025. All right, let's get to the negative out of this report. Besides the negative of not being able to get enough cameras to be able to sell enough cameras and thus the reduced revenue there, all supply chain problems. The negative here is they revised or changed their outlook for the rest of 2021. Now, originally they had reported an expectation of about 120 million to 126 million in total revenue for 2021. That's been revised down to 107 to 110. What is the biggest change there? It's their expectation on product revenue, being able to get those cameras and being able to sell them. Now, what else was mentioned as a reason why they're revising down the revenue expectation? That is their ability to get adequate numbers of people to work for them right now. The CFO mentioned that they're experiencing challenges in hiring to our internal plans in several areas, including in our capture services business. We expect our capture services growth to be constrained by this factor. Now, if you're not familiar with that, the capture services is that they will send people to a building or to a home, and they will then use their camera to be able to capture the building and create a digital twin rather than someone doing that on their own. Now, they did manage to hire an additional 75 people during the quarter. That brings their total employee count up to 401, but they mentioned that they are behind where they would like to be in terms of headcount. When it comes to subscriptions, they're expecting those to still grow, but to be less than they really would like it to be, and that is a byproduct of being unable to get their camera, their product, out to customers. They've also revised their non-GAAP earnings per share estimate. Previously, it was it's going to be a loss. It was estimated to be 17 cents to 25 cents per share, and now they're estimating that loss to be in the range of 21 to 25 cents per share. So they've just tightened that up, but the maximum loss expectation has remained the same. All right, there were two additional highlights in here that really didn't have anything to do with their quarterly results, but will in fact their quarterly results and revenue in the future. So if you look here, you'll see all the areas where they have been concentrating their business: hospitality, commercial, industrial, retail, real estate, etc. Now they have added a new category to this. So they've added the public sector as their newest vertical. Now, why is this important? It's going to give them first mover advantage in the public sector. So they deployed the first government-compliant 3D spatial data platform for modeling of interior spaces, and they're going to be doing that in federal government buildings. How big is that market? The CEO says it here in the earnings call transcript. The market opportunity for digitizing the public sector is substantial, spanning federal, state, and local government agencies. The segments include education, law enforcement, military, infrastructure, and healthcare, building assets, infrastructure, and other physical spaces within the U.S. federal government alone exceeds $260 billion. So they're thinking just in the U.S. government, $260 billion. But he also mentioned the potential for state and local governments as well. Now, Matterport is not going this alone with this new vertical. They have two partners that they're going to be working with. One is InQtel or IQT. Now, IQT has already been working with government agencies, U.S. government agencies, in intelligence and national security for 20 years. And so they are well relied upon already. And it's IQT who's advocating for Matterport and representing Matterport to secure federal agencies in a way that will help these government organizations stay ahead of the technology curve and ensure the national security of the United States and its allies. Now, the second one is a big one, and that is Amazon's AWS division. They will be using the AWS GovCloud as the platform where they will deploy and manage the first FedRAMP compliant offering. And so working with AWS as a new member of the AWS Public Sector program is going to be a big deal for them. Now that brings us to the second highlight here, and that is Matterport BIM file, BIM, or Building Information Modeling. That really is a process for creating and managing information on a construction or design project across the project, from the whole life cycle, from start to being able to manage that building as it ages. This just gives you an example of how this can be beneficial in this type of project. Architects and designers can conceptualize designs with a detailed understanding of the space. Project stakeholders and construction teams can collaborate more efficiently, and building operators can maintain inventories of equipment and assets across a portfolio. Now, how is this going to work? It's going to integrate with Autodesk Revit. And they've actually been working this type of thing really as early as 2019. There's a nice presentation that lasts about an hour that you probably won't want to watch that talks about how this integrates. All right, so the Matterport Q3 earnings report, I think overall pretty positive. They are still growing, not growing as fast as they would like to or as fast as was expected by the analysts, but that's great because the share price went down and I picked some up yesterday. I didn't quite get it during its dip during below 20. I missed out on that one right at 3:30 p.m. yesterday, but I still got it below 21, and so that was fantastic. It was up again briefly today. It's back down again, and hey, that's okay because if it dips below 20, I'm going to buy some more. All right, Matterport and the warrants, we'll talk about that video next, and you'll be able to click on that right here. Share this information with a young person in your life. This could be a great company for a young person to invest in. And as always, until next time, enjoy your investing.